This is part 3 of a video series I'm doing on designing a clawfoot walker, a mechanical toy in Fusion 360. In this video we're going to start by fixing some of the things we screwed up in our last video. One of the things we didn't get right was this crank, so let's activate it, isolate it. The problem with it was this square hole that we fit our other shaft into is too loose. So where did we I think we did it in the first one here, and it is this offset that we need to change. It's 0.2 now. I'll change it to 0.1. Make that a little tighter. The other thing I want to change is I want to add a couple of chamfers. We'll make it 0.6, and we'll put a chamfer on our screw hole, 0.4. Make it a little easier to start. Let's unisolate. Come back up to the claw, to the whole thing. Make sure we're at the end of our timeline, and you can see if the changes took effect on the other part because it's an exact copy of the one we just changed. Now we want to change this gear right here. Let's see. We'll isolate it. What I did wrong with it was I forgot to put the proper sized hole in it and the flat on it. So we're going to project in this circle. We'll select it and make it a construction circle, dimension, see 3.2. Now we need a line to make a flat for the shaft. We'll dimension that from the center. 1.25. I think that's what I've used in the past. Now we'll finish that. We're going to extrude. The first thing we can extrude the flat. Is that going to work? I think so. Distance to object. We want it to join. That's good. And it killed our sketch, so let's bring it back. Extrude. Make that hole a little bigger. Distance to object back here. Cut. Okay. Let's turn off that sketch. Select that and see if 1.6 radius, 3.2 diameter. Collapse that back and unisolate it. So I think that's fixed. Go back to the top. Make sure we're at the end of our timeline. I think I'm going to work on this motor clamp for just a second. I didn't like the way it was coming out here. It's too close. So let's activate, isolate it, and then we're going to bring back in that motor. See, let's go to our original sketch. Let's make this hang down a little farther even. 2. Well, let's go with 2.4. I'm going to make a cutout in this so that it clears that terminal. Now I'm going to create a sketch here. project in this. We'll also project in. It'll be alright. It won't be perfect, but it'll be alright. I'll project in that. Do a circle off this. We'll dimension it to 11. Is that going to work? I think so. Now we're going to extrude this. Distance to object, this face right here. Now if we go down to objects cut, we don't want to cut our motor, so we need to uncheck that. We just want the body of a motor clamp. This is not centered perfectly, but it's for what we're doing, it's just fine. We're going to unisolate everything. Come back up to the top. Make sure we're at the end of our timeline. Well, everything I wanted to do with this motor clamp, it's going to be pretty fast, is I'm going to create a sketch on this, project in the geometry, offset it, minus 2 or 1.6. And we're going to extrude this. I was hoping I could see that, but I can't. Minus 7. See if what that looks like. Let's isolate this and see how thick that left our motor clamp here to here. 0.6. Yeah, that's not quite enough. Minus 6.4. We'll do our inspect again. 1.2 is good. Our holes I just did that so that this is not, the metal's not full of plastic. It'll make it easier because we're going to thread screws into that. Go back to our top now, end of our timeline. I have everything I need to fix, and this is going to be a little bit harder because it'll want to blow up our joints. We have these holes and these legs are too small. I just use the projections off the gears over 2.9 millimeters, and they need to be like 3.3. There's a couple of ways we can do this. We can go back on our timeline and edit this one, which will, when we mirror it, will probably reflect onto this one. I think it will. But that's going to blow all our joints up because the hole that we jointed this to this with a reference is going to be gone. I think what we can do is just edit each one individually. So let's go into this, create a sketch on that face. We'll know on the first one if it's going to work or not. Project in that. Let's isolate it so we can see it. We'll make a circle here. Dimension it to our screw clearance parameter. Should be 3.3. Alright, another circle. We'll just make it equal to the other one. finish the sketch, it should be fully constrained and extrude. It's going to be hard to select that profile. That. And that. It isn't complaining about us blowing anything up. Let's unisolate it. Back to the top. Into our timeline. Let's see if the joints still work. Let's see where they at. Up here. Animate joint relationships. If I went back and edited that whole dimension, I've done it in the past, and it seems to blow up the joint. It loses its reference. We're going to do that to this other side now. This is kind of, it's not really the way I'd like to do it, but that's the way that I'm going to do it. Otherwise, I'd have to go back in and basically what I've done in the past is deleted all the joints and just started over. So let's create a sketch on that, but I don't want to do that. It takes too long. Let's do the same thing we did on this one that we did on the other one. Circle. Dimension. Screw. Clearance. Make them equal. And extrude them. Now we're going to unisolate. You always hit the home button if you get lost. So hopefully that's fixed our problem. 3.3, 3.3. Let's make sure it still works. I like to keep those joints working, and because I can always go down and check and see if my feet are colliding. So I think cranks, motor gear hole, legs, and that motor clamp, that's the things I wanted to fix. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to print the new parts. The parts will be this gear. I'll just go ahead and print this motor clamp again. And these two cranks, I won't reprint the legs. They're kind of large. I'll just drill the holes out. I've already drilled a hole out in one. So I'm going to print the parts, and the next thing you'll see is the result of that in this video. So I've got this thing assembled. It went together pretty easy. These are the new parts, the cranks, this motor clamp, and this gear. The gear went on just about like it always does. Just it's a tight fit, so that's good. No problems there. These cranks are still a little bit on the loose side. One of them was anyway. What I did was, before I poked it on there, I just took the soldering iron with this off on that square part. I just touched it just to make a little enlarged part, and then that pushed that on there. If you were normally building this would be glued on anyway. So I'm just trying to get it to a point where you can see if it works. I just drilled out the legs that had the small holes in them. The files that I showed I showed fixing the parts in Fusion. And of course the question is, does it walk? Oh, I glued the switch in. This is just a 30 RPM motor. That's what I had laying around. I've ordered some more motors. They're kind of expensive. They're like $5 or $6 a piece. But it does walk. The clearances look about like they did on the computer between the legs. As for stability, it stands on one leg pretty good. Front to back is real good. No problem there. I was worried about putting the battery up front, but I think putting a little jog in this leg uh, balanced it pretty well. This direction, it could extend this leg out a little, or this little piece out here a little more. Got plenty of room. I think it's okay. So that's what I set out to do, show designing a claw walker in Fusion. And I've done that. Oh, here's the motor mount, but it changed. I don't know if you can see in there or not. Come out about right. The way I mounted it with screw going this way and a screw going this way. The screw straight into this motor mount part. I think I can't decide if I'm going to show making a body or not. That can be kind of involved. It's not to making the body isn't so much involved. It's just adding all the little details. Fusion 360 is really not a program designed to do things like that, but you can still do it. So, but I'm not sure if I'm going to show that or not. This is basically just what I wanted to do with this video series. But if you want to see me make a body for it, leave a comment, and if I might do it if anybody makes it to the end of this third video. Hats off to you. It's been a long, boring thing. So I think I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching.